Today, I'm going to be talking about a very interesting and very non-traditional deck. This deck was literally built to counter popular decks in the meta, and it's doing a really good job at it. I'll explain a bit more on how the deck works when we get to the card list. But this deck is actually pretty crazy, and I'm honestly surprised that it works as well as it does. It has positive win rates against decks like Pikachu EX and Gyarados EX, and it can also stand its ground versus Mewtwo decks, which is not only the best deck in the game, it's also a psychic deck that would normally destroy a fighting deck like this. What makes this deck so good is the high early damage at low cost, and the ability to snipe the bench with ease and take down targets before they have the time to set up. Marshadow is also a very good revenge killer and helps you trade weaker Pokemon for powerful ones. The cons, however, is that the damage is very situational, and it depends on very specific scenarios, which if they don't happen, the damage can be very lackluster. With that said, let's take a look at the build. For your items, go with 2 Pokeball, 2 Potion, and 2 X Speed. These items allow you to set up your Pokemon early and have the flexibility to move them around as needed, especially in the early game, which is where this deck shines. For your supporters, go with 2 Professor's Research, 1 Sabrina, and 2 Giovanni. Sabrina helps with tough matchups and Giovanni maxes your damage output, and since this deck's damage is kinda low, it's a really good help. And finally, for your Pokemon, go with 2 Tauros, 2 Marshadows, 2 Hitmonlee, 2 Farfetch'd, and a Mew EX. Now let me explain. Farfetch'd sounds like a crazy choice, but 40 damage on 1 energy is pretty good. It can 2-shot pretty much any basic Pokemon, but the reason it shines is that if you're playing against Gyarados EX, it's able to 1-shot Magikarp if it's on the active spot. If the opposing Magikarp is on the bench, Hitmonlee is there to take care of it before it even gets a chance to evolve. Hitmonlee's Stretch Kick is an amazing move versus any deck. The ability to deal damage to the benched Pokemon and take them out before they're able to evolve gives this deck huge advantages. And even if you don't take out the benched Pokemon, dealing chip damage will help later on as they're already weakened, making them a prime target for your Tauros or Marshadow. Marshadow is an amazing Pokemon, and Revenge is a great move. It can deal huge damage to anything, but it's extra beneficial versus Pikachu decks. With Revenge, it's easily able to take down Pikachu EX in 1 hit, which will easily shut that deck down. Send out your Hitmonlee, deal some damage, let Pikachu take it out, and then revenge kill it. On the next turn, you can swap Marshadow back to your bench and repeat the same process all over again. This strategy works well versus pretty much any deck, but it makes quick work of Pikachu and any other electric deck variants. Now, Tauros is here to take care of EX Pokemon, especially in the early game. Not only can Fighting Tackle 1-shot Pikachu, with Giovanni it also 1-shots Starmie EX, Mew EX, and Celebi EX. And it will 2-shot every other EX Pokemon in the game, which is huge for a basic non-EX Pokemon. And then your final Pokemon is Mew EX. Mew is a big counter to every other big hitter in the game, but its main goal here is to shut down Mewtwo EX, as it's able to use genome hacking to steal Mewtwo's side drive and kill it in 1 hit. It also easily takes care of Charizard EX by stealing its Crimson Storm, as well as Celebi if it has a lot of energies on it. But it also deals massive damage to every other EX Pokemon, putting them in range for Marshadow's Revenge or Hitmonlee's Kick if they decide to retreat. The low retreat cost and low energy cost on this deck makes it a powerhouse in the early game. Farfetch'd and Hitmonlee only needing 1 energy is really big, as it allows you to set up your Marshadow, Mew, or Tauros on the bench. This deck is amazing and can be very frustrating to play against, as it's able to deal with threats before they even get a chance to set up or evolve. Now, while this deck isn't perfect, it has a lot of answers to many big threats that currently roam the meta. It's a very cheap deck to build, as it doesn't really require many rare cards, and you only run 1 EX. And honestly, I've been having a lot of fun with it. Have you tried this deck? Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out my channel for more TCG Pocket Guides.